How's it going? Wait for a few more people to get on here. Sorry I'm a little late. Had some updating issues. Can you guys hear me all right? Well, we'll get started. And anyway, I have some information for you guys. We got the Harvey Spooner bike back on the what do you call it? On the lift. We're going to be working on finishing up his bike because that's going to be going back to him, and then we're going to be picking up 4 bikes now. So we're picking up 2 Z50s, like mid-70s Hondas, some mini bikes, mini trails, and he's dropping off his son's scooter. It's a Yamaha Raz, so that's a 50. We're going to be working on that, getting that going. And he's got another bike that, if you go on Harvey Spooner's channel, you'll be able to see it. Type in RM 250. It's a 70s model RM 250. It's basically a basket case. So that's going to be coming to the channel as well. That he's donating to the channel. We're going to be doing this trade within a couple weeks, within a weekend or two. Trying to figure out the logistics of all that. But we're going to finish off his bike, get that down to him, and then get those back here. And we're going to do a collaboration video. But if you guys want to check out the Z50s, just type in Harvey Spooner and go check his channel out. What else we got going on? We got you guys saw those the tail lights and stuff, the box of parts. Those are pretty cool. Those are all new old stock, and the packaging or the wrapping that they had them in was April 1st, 1976. They've been in that box for 40 years, or 43. So we got what's some of the things? He's going to finish off the 125 4-wheeler, the Kimco one, the one I put the 5-speed on. He's going to finish that on his channel because that's what he likes to do on that. So he's going to be taking that, and he's going to take that Chinese scooter there, the Kimco scooter, for the trade. And we're just going to be trading a bunch of other little doodads, nothing crazy. So it's been really crazy weather here with the wind. Has been nuts, power outages everywhere. So we haven't really been turning wrenches. The weather's been kind of crazy. But we're going to be getting back out there tomorrow. We're going to be working on the Harvey Spooner bike. We got to still split the case on Dave's TS 125 motor. So we got a lot of stuff on the plate, you guys get a chance to check out that spark plug boot with the light on it. That thing was pretty cool. I can't wait to use that. I'm going to be putting one of those on all my bikes. And this goes to one of those preparation things I've been telling you guys about with, like, how I like to use the clear fuel line so I can see my fuel flow. The clear fuel line on the, whatchamacallit there. Hold on a second. Okay, the clear fuel line on the oil tank so I can see the oil flow going from the reservoir to the pump. This is another thing. I can quickly look at it and see that my engine's giving spark just by the light flashing. So these little things that you do to your bike, these little modifications, these will help you quickly diagnose what's going on with your bike. Okay, the bike feels like it's cutting out. And I can just look at start the engine, look at it, and say, okay, it's not really sparking. I clearly got an issue here. So these are kind of the setups that we try to implement on these bikes, because the one thing you want to be able to know is, okay, am I out of fuel or do I not have spark? I mean, that's kind of the two. When you kick it over, you'll feel the compression. Quick diagnostics, you know. And if you do these to all your bikes right down the line, it's just gonna make your life a lot easier, especially if you're on a trail and you're way out there and you have to call back and say, "Hey, I'm out of fuel. How do you know?" Well, I mean, obviously you look in the tank, but you can look in the fuel line as well. I'm not getting fuel. I'm not getting spark, or I'm getting spark, but I'm not getting spark at the plug. Hmm. Now here's where that resistor plug thing comes in. It's not sparking at the plug, but you can see it on the that little boot. There you go. Now you know you need a spark plug. Real quick, easy diagnostics. Um, I want to touch base on a couple of things. One of them is ignition systems. Ignition systems are not complicated to diagnose. The problem with them is the problem lies with the understanding of them. And I always talk about these type of things. I get a lot of people like, "Oh, it's bogging." Well, it's fuel. Doesn't necessarily be fuel. It could be ignition. Weak spark will do this. Things that cause weak spark: corrosion on the points. There's corrosion you can't see, which is on the where the points fulcrum. There's a pin in between there that the fulcrum's on. Well, that fulcrum point gets corrosion on it and can actually make a contact to ground. Um, so it's important to keep your ignition systems clean. Make sure you have a gasket around that housing and make sure it's tight. These are things that are very important. Make sure you guys are replacing your points and condenser. I get a lot of people, "Well, I don't have a solder on, so I didn't change the condenser." Okay, but you change the points, you still could have a problem. Don't assume. Do the tune-up kits. There are three major parts to the ignition that have to be changed in a tune-up: points, condenser, spark plug. That's it. Go for the cheapest thing first. If you have a problem with your bike, first thing you're going to want to do, the very first thing you want to do, change your spark plug. The cheapest, easiest to do. Second thing you're going to want to do, number two, if your bike still won't start, take your fuel hose off and see if you're getting fuel from your tank to your carburetor. It should come pouring out of that line. If it trickles, it's not good. That means your petcock is clogged or your fuel filter. Pull it off, see if you get a fuel flow. If you get a fuel flow, then pull the bowl off your carburetor and see if your jets are clogged. There are two jets in there: your pilot jet, which is a small one in the hole, and then your main jet. Check those first. And of course, you want to check compression. Now, why am I saying all these type of things? I'm saying these things because these are quick things that you can check. It's like a checklist. In fact, I'm going to be doing a checklist that I'm going to be posting on a video on quick diagnostics. It's going to be just a multi-point checklist from first to second, from first to last, and you guys will be able to look at this checklist. I'm gonna leave the video up. Obviously, I leave all my videos up, and you'll be able to go through each and every one of the steps and find out which one works for you, which one's the problem. So step-by-step diagnostics is what we're going to be doing a video on. Some of the other stuff: pre-trip your bike to ride in. What's a pre-trip? That means you're looking over your bike before you ride it. I keep getting a lot of things. Kevin, my chain keeps falling off. How do I tell if my chain is worn out? How do I tell if I need sprockets? These are all great questions I've been getting. And I did a chain video on my yellow KM100. You can check that out and you'll be able to see. If you can literally take your chain and push it in and out, and you can see the wear. You shouldn't be able to go too far in but there's a measurement for it. I'm gonna put that all in that video. Bikes, mechanic work in general on these bikes is not a complicated thing. The complication comes when you have no idea. You're looking at this thing going, I have no clue. That's where the complication comes in. That's why we're teaching you guys on this channel how to do these things properly. It's a must. It's a must. It's going to save you guys so much money. It's going to save these bikes from going in the junkyard, and it is going to get you guys on the road quickly and correctly. I still am getting a lot of people going, Kevin, my oil is not working. Oh my God, I got to premix it. No, your oiler is not working. It is working. You're not doing it correctly. That's the problem. Absolutely, Tyler. Okay, so well, let me finish up this right here, Tyler, real quick, and then we're going to address that. Oilers pump. If you have a good bleed from your reservoir to your pump, and then from your pump to your where it injects into it, that is what it's working. As long as you can see the flow, as long as there's no bubbles or anything like that, just one solid stream, you're good. And the quickest way to know if your oiler is working is you have smoke coming out your tailpipe. If you got two-stroke smoke and you can smell it, it's pumping and it's doing what it is. And then, of course, you want to make sure you time it, like I show you on all my videos. And in fact, I'm going to be checking it again on Harvey Spooners. Check your timing mark on your oil pump. I had a guy who put 50-1 in his KE100, premixed it because that's what the KX100s use. He ran a 50-1 and burnt that motor, the rings right clear out of it. What did I do, Kevin? I mixed the same way they do in the motocross. I mean, they should know what they're doing, right? Wrong. Our bikes are like a 25 or a 24-1 oil mix. Okay, well, a 50-1 is more oil than a 24-1. Wrong. That is not. It's a ratio. 24-1 is more oil than a 50-1. So a 50-1 is a really lean oil mix. A 24-1 or a 25-1 is a really rich mix of oil. Why? Why does it need to have a 25-1 mix? Why can't I run with the motocross I'm running a 50-1? That is a great question. Here's the answer. Because our bikes, one, have a Nickel coating cylinder. They don't have a cast iron sleeve. That's one. Two, most important, the premix has, not the premix, but the oil injection has to lubricate the rotary valve and that main bearing. Whereas a premix bike, like the KX, goes in, it scavenge. That's what it does. It goes through the reeds, scavenges, and then comes up through. And that's how it's lubricated. You're very welcome. That's why I do this channel. That's why I'm doing this Two-Stroke Tuesday, to give you guys this type of tech tip, because you guys need to know, because I want to see you guys on your bikes. That's the purpose of this channel, to teach and to get you guys on your bikes and ride them properly so they last you and you have years of enjoyment, and you can pass them on to hopefully your kids. It's a really important thing. Now, Tyler, we're going to talk about yours. Fork oil. They actually make a 5W20 motor oil. You can use synthetic or whatever you want. That you can put. Regular motor oil is what I run in mine. 5W20 motor oil. How much do I put in? I think I use in 10 ounces, 10 to 12 ounces. The book calls for 14. It varies, because you can use, if you want a softer, more squishy front end, use less oil. If you want a more tighter, more rigid front end, then you put a little bit more in there. I think don't quote me on this. I have to look for you, Tyler. But I think the book calls for 14 ounces in each one. Yeah, unfortunately, they're all gone. The two strokes are gone. Everything's going four strokes. And no offense, the motocross bikes are just ugly. The new four stroke, they're just ugly. So, I mean, they do make a regular fork oil. It's a blue color, and that stuff right there really works really good. Yeah, the two strokes. The nice thing about two stroke, let me tell you why I love two strokes. One, you get more power in a smaller package. A two stroke engine, for instance, our bikes, the KE100s are 11 horsepower. If you put that next to an 11 horsepower four stroke, it's going to be a much bigger engine because it's got a lot more moving parts into it. You have on a four stroke, you've got valves, springs, rocker arms, lifters. Some engines have push rods, timing chain, more gears. Just a bigger space to put all that in. What does all that equal? It's heavier. You don't have that with a two stroke. Two stroke doesn't have any of that stuff. You just have your piston, cylinder, head, crankshaft, and a crankcase. Yeah, the Banshee is Thomas. That is a big, powerful motor. It's much more. What's that say? Yeah, that's 1,000 cc. Yeah, that Banshee. You can. Oh my God, what you can do with the Yamaha Banshee? That thing is sick. I mean, you can tune the just at the carburetor. You can change the needle, that goes in the center of the carburetor, the main jet, and they got this little X thing that goes in the airflow, and oh my God, just hold on, just hold on. That's the one four wheeler you wish had a seatbelt. Yeah, the yeah the four stroke engine is what everybody's used to. That's why it's easier to maintain. What people don't understand about the two strokes is you have to always jet your carburetor. You're always jetting the carburetor. Oh, I'm going to put a performance exhaust on it. Got to jet the carburetor. I'm going to put a bigger carburetor on there. Okay, I still got to jet the carburetor. A bigger air filter or a different air filter. Got to jet the carburetor. High compression cylinder head. I got to jet the carburetor. Everything you got to do to these bikes, you got to jet the carburetor, or else you're going to have a lean condition. You have 2002 Banshee, mostly stock, except the pipes. Yep. And if you did the pipes, you must know you had to jet the carburetors because other than that, you could create a lean condition. Or if you put the pipes on and you didn't jet the carburetor properly, you're going to lose power or not use those pipes to its full advantage. And I got to do a video on jetting. I got to do that because a lot of times we do modifications and we leave so much information right on the table. Awesome. If you have access to a dyno, Thomas, that's awesome. I would love to get my hands on a dyno. Oh my God, the fun I would have with that. I'd be throwing mopeds on that thing. Performance mopeds, guys. Performance. Yeah, you can gain stupid power just by jets. You can gain up to 10 horsepower, more sometimes. And if you can adjust your timing, um, like on the Suzuki DS80, you can play with your timing, um, and change your curve depending upon the CDI box you're using. I mean, you get a CDI box that has a really nice advanced curve, you could really make some stupid power out of a stock engine just by changing external stuff, module, pipe, air filter assembly. Yep. So if you can, with timing and all that, just make sure you're careful with it, and you know, make sure you're checking your temperatures. Make sure you're checking it through the whole power band. Oh yeah, 45 horsepower on a Banshee. Yeah, that's that's a good time right there. Yeah, 2 degrees. Yep. So yeah, you see, you know what you're doing. You got it. Was it Truman? How you pronounce it? Truman. So yeah, I mean, you can do so much with bikes, just factory. But it now on a four stroke, you have to do valve jobs. You gotta bore them out. I mean, there's just a lot of work. You can't put a performance exhaust on a four stroke and get the same type of power you would out of a two stroke. When you change an exhaust on a four stroke, you do open it up. You do get more power, but you're limited. On a two stroke, that expansion chamber makes the bike. On a two stroke, it's not really about sound, it's about performance. I mean, the sound comes with it, but you can make some massive power with a two stroke. Yeah, the KE 100 is a rotary valve engine, and that is probably one of the most misunderstood engines because it's one of those bikes that looks like a KX, and it's often compared to the KX or the KDX, and people people take that type of knowledge and they try to implement onto a KE, and it doesn't work. It just the first thing anybody wants to do is delete the oiler. Got to get rid of that oiler. No, no, keep that oiler. That oiler is your friend. And if you have a KE, when you go to the gas station, you can just put gas in it. Whereas a premix bike, if you do that, now how are you mixing your fuel and oil at the gas station? So I don't know about you, but when I'm riding my bike, I have a halfway rule. That is, if my oil tank is halfway, I don't let it get any less. So you have your sight on your oil tank. When it gets to the top of the sight, I top it off. I don't want to see any level in that window. I want that window to be solid. And when it gets to the top, and you can see it, when it gets to the top, I top it off. And I check it before every trip. Yeah, the clutches are another thing that they're only a 4 disc clutch. And a lot of people like to make their bikes faster. So what they do is they put a smaller sprocket on the back. That wreaks more havoc on the clutch because it's a tiny little clutch. It's not a big, robust one like you'd find in a KX or a bigger racing bike. What's that, Tyler? Mine normally around a third. Fourth. Yeah, I always keep mine. I don't give my bike the chance to run the oil low because I know that if you run the thing too low and then you angle the bike or you go around a corner, it could suck air. And what do you call it? Yeah, the oil tank. Yep. Always keep them half. Just either way, you're putting the same oil in it. So just keep it at half. And the nice thing about keeping it at half, it's out of your mind. You don't have to worry about it. You can go through a couple of tanks of fuel and then check it, which is nice. Yeah, you don't want that thing to suck air in. And once it sucks air, then you got to rebleed the whole thing, and then you could cause engine damage. Or not could, you will. And one of the most common things that get like Kevin, I'm really nervous about running this thing out of oil. I mean the oil pump. Getting air in there. Don't worry about it. Keep your oil tank at half. Um, the only bike I ever had a problem with an oiler was my yellow bike, and that over oiled. It literally. I don't know if something broke off inside the pump, but what happened was I parked it. It had a full tank. I came out the next day. It was at a half a tank, and there was no oil on the ground. I knew where it went. I pulled my cover off, and my carburetor was just leaking oil right out of it. in the so on a Robert, on a two-stroke, it's not crankcase oil. What that is that's transmission oil, and I use either 10W30 or 10W40, and the book calls for good quality oil. If you have an older bike like Aaron has, some of those bikes are in transmit ATF, automatic transmission fluid. I don't. I drain them oil, motor oil. And I use a good name. I don't go by Walmart, but I don't go synthetic either. Synthetic is not made for these clutches. Yes, Napa 10W30 is a great oil. That's a Quaker State, I think it is. One of those. It's a good quality oil. Synthetic is exactly right. It's too slippery. It's not made for the friction material. You'll actually lose friction material. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about, if you guys want your clutches to grip a little better, you can add um, 3 ounces of friction modifier to your engine oil that goes in your transmission. And then your back on what you were saying, Robert, in the oil reserve tank for your two-stroke mix, I use either Yamalube or the Kawasaki lube or the what do you call it there? Irving makes a good Amazoil. Those are all good oils. You can use any of those. As long as it's a good quality oil, stay away from the Walmart. Um, it just it's not right oil. I don't know what's up with it. I just don't trust it. If I'm gonna put an oil in my bike, I'm not gonna go out and spend, $15 on a quart of oil from Amsoil. No, we're not doing that. Um, I'll get what it needs. MT1. All right. So on the Robert, on the MT1 in the transmission, a buddy of mine had told me he uses gear oil in that, and it actually helps gear oil on the MT1 and the KV75. I'm running 80W90 in that, and that works wicked good. And it helps with because those bikes are known for shift and fork failure. So what happens is you end up losing gears. The shifting forks just wear out. That 80-90 weight really helps those gears, and it really coats everything in there perfectly. And it stops that infamous shifter shaft leak. What? I never heard of that. The Colts. I never used it. I don't know what that is. Yeah, the outboard oil is different. See, when you're dealing with a regular two-stroke, you you need air cooled. So, um, boat oil versus dirt bike oil. The problem with that is it's made differently. It's made for liquid cooled, whereas the dirt bike oil is made for air cooled because your bike is air cooled oil injection, and you got to make sure it says that on the bottle when you're reading that. So I'll have to check that out, Truman. That's pretty cool. I'll definitely check that out. Um, yeah. So you want to make sure you're using a dirt bike oil, not a two-stroke for a boat, and you want to make sure you're using what they call a low ash. So a lot of times we'll be, at grandpa's house or, grandma's house or our friend's house or somebody. Hey, do you want all this two-stroke oil? I know you got a two-stroke bike. Not all oils are created equal. Just because it says two-stroke on it doesn't mean it's for your bike. Make sure it says on the bottle. And I want to stop for a quick second. On the on a lot of bottles, it'll say for all two-stroke engines. That's a lie. It's not. There is a difference between oil injection. There is a difference between air cooled and liquid cooled. Make sure you read your specifications. Yeah, I never mixed anything with alcohol. I keep I want to keep the bike cool. What I like to do is I like to use a premium two-stroke oil. I run high test fuel, so 93 octane, whatever. When you're at the pump, the highest octane, that's what goes in the bike because that's what they like. It lessens the ping. Yeah, I never got into the alcohol stuff. Makes it run super cool. Yeah, I never got into that. It's a different type of fuel, and I do know that um, alcohol can distort O-rings in the carburetor. So you want to make sure that your bike is set up for that if you're running that. What kind of bike do you have there? Checking battery is good. It sounds like the solenoid from what you're describing. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, exactly. You have to have an alcohol carburetor. That once again, that comes to setting up the bike to run that way. Um, oh, VTX 600. Okay, so it just clicks when you hit the starter button. Is that all it does? Just click, 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 click. If that's the case, that could be your starter solenoid. Um, real quick thing you can do with that Honda. You have your two terminals. One comes for your battery, and the other one goes to your starter. Take a screwdriver, put them between the two, and touch the two together, and see if it cranks over. If it cranks over, you need a solenoid switch. MC1. That's awesome, Tony. That's great. Bike backfired, and then it went dead. All right, so that's not good. All right, so if it went dead, you basically have to go back to the basics. What happened with it? So you want to, if it backfired and won't restart, check your ignition. Chances are you got to clean your points. Chase the dead battery on the tractor. Yeah, it's all it's all in the way you set them up. So just because the battery, yes, exactly. It doesn't mean that because it has. I use a conductance tester. A while back, I think I showed it on the channel. It basically, I can set my cranking amps and it will test the whole thing. It's made by Mac Tools. It's about 115 bucks. And I'll show it on my next video when I'm going to do another tool review of the tools that I use on my day to day, and I'll definitely use that. It could be a follow plug too. I mean, a lot of times I have to see the bike right in front of me so I can go through it all. Um, I get text a lot about questions about bikes, and I'm giving you guys the quick angles to go at to check it out because you definitely want to make sure you're going through step by step to check them all out. So, do you have the original carburetor on that GT80? Those are they're not certain ones did. They actually changed them. They had the ones that I have fit how does mine go? Mine fit into the no, onto the boot. Yeah, so on my GT80s, mine clamp over it. They have a bolt going through it. The RX50 motor has a boot and it fits inside of it with the clamp go on the outside of the boot. That's the car bolt. Does the car bolt up? No, it doesn't bolt up to it with a flange bolt. That's on the Suzuki. On our bikes, it goes over with a clamp. It comes. It came without any. Oh, okay, all right. Can you do me a favor? Can you text me a picture of that carburetor, your intake, and let me see. Let me put this on there. Text me a picture of that carburetor because I want to see not carburetor, your intake, so I can give you an actual answer on that. Yeah, definitely want to you definitely want to make sure you're getting the proper carburetor for that bike, and make sure you have the whole air filter, the box, and everything. I see a lot of people riding their bikes with no air filter covers on there, and that's not a good thing. You need that because that stops a couple things. Dirt ingestion, which I did a video on that. I showed you the damage that it causes a piston. You'll see all the scoring on the intake side of the piston. So if you get scoring on the intake side, that is damage due to dirt ingestion, dirt debris. If it's on the exhaust side, then it's burning out. It's lean condition. Yes, it definitely sounds like you have something just cutting out. You're gonna want to check your spark plug, do a coil test, and you're gonna want to pull your carburetor bowl down and see. When I say pull the carburetor bowl down, pull it over like a glass bowl, like a clear glass bowl, and you're gonna look for any cloudiness in there. Make sure you get no condensation, no water. Um, this is that time when that happens, this time of year, because you got your cold mornings and then your hot afternoons, or a 20-degree difference that creates condensation. And it doesn't always necessarily happen in your carburetor, it happens in your fuel tank, and then water goes to the bottom, and then that's what goes through your fuel line. So that's why you want to definitely take a fuel sample. And yeah, when it cools off. So you got something heating up. Now, if it's water in the carburetor, it will do that because what happens is when the engine heats up, that water becomes a vapor locks the carburetor. The other thing that might happen is check your fuel tank cap. If your fuel tank cap is clogged, that right there, when it heats up, it vaporizes. It won't let any air into the tank. So basically, if you take a straw and some water, put the straw in the water, put your finger over the top, and then pull the straw out of the water, you'll still see water in the straw until you let open the top of the straw, and then the water will come out. That's vapor locking. Same thing can happen with your fuel tank cap. If your cap is clogged, that will cause that. And then the bike cools down, air finally enters the tank, and then the fuel trickles down. So that's another reason why I like my clear fuel lines. I can see all that. I can see what's going on. These are some really great questions tonight, guys. I appreciate this. Thank you. It's nice to have a group of guys, and I say guys, I mean women too, that collaborate together and just you guys are sharing your questions, and I'm able to answer them for you guys, and I really am honored to do that. Make sure you're looking over your entire bike. Common things to look for: fuel tank, dirt around your fuel cap, the oil reservoir, that vent that comes off the back of it. Make sure that that's not plugged. Oftentimes, they like to make a nest in there, bugs, dirt, spiders and stuff. They make a little nest inside there. Um, how many bikes do I have? Well, I've got 10 bikes, dirt bikes, probably 11 dirt bikes that are here at the house. And I have my big motorcycle, and I got two more coming. I got two bikes, and yes, those are. Thank you, Truman. Yes, I did a video. I had the whole lineup. There's actually a video with the whole lineup of all my bikes, except for the KE 102 build, because that one's not done yet. And then we got two Honda Z50s coming. One's going to be put together. The other one's parts for that, so it's missing the motor and all that. But I have a lead on a motor, and an exhaust system for it, so it might be two Z50s, but that's a little secret. Yeah, thank you about the page picture. Yeah, that's only a few of them, but like I said, I have a video on the page, probably like a month ago, and I did one, and it's got all the bikes on it, whole big collaboration of them. The fire seems strong. Yeah, so it sounds like all right. So if it's your spark, so all right, here we go. Perfect. All right, so Tony, you got a bright spark, and then when it heats up, the spark kind of fades away and it wants to die. Is that what you're saying? Um, that right there is a um dead giveaway on a bad condenser. Right there, that's a condenser. Most of the time, where it'll your spark will fade away, that's a condenser. And if it's a CDI bike, that is so the condenser is a capacitor. Same thing with a CDI. It would be a CDI module, or in a KE 100 96 to 2001, a Suzuki LT 125, a Suzuki Junior 50, the KX 50, all those bikes. It would be the coil, the ignition coil, because the CDI module is built into those particular coils. So yeah, I would change my points and condenser first. That's where I would start with that. Oh, you're very welcome. Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, the condensers are not plentiful. Which bike is my favorite? Um, I would have to say I started off on a KD80. That was my very first bike, and that bike always has a special spot. My red one. I would have to say that right there is probably my favorite bike, only because that's the bike I started on. So I would say my KD80. I love them all. Don't get me wrong, and I do. I wouldn't part with a single one of them. I love my mini bike, my what do you call it, the KV75. I love my I like that one that I built for my son, the custom one. Not much rip. 86 KE 100 owner. Wow, beautiful bike. What color was yours? Okay, cool. I'll check that after I get off. What do you call it? Did you send it to my? Okay, yeah. So your carburetor mount is the same one that's used on my yellow. I'll get you the information on that carburetor. So you don't have carburetor. I will have to check and see if I have one. I don't think I have a good one, but I will check for you. Those carburetors are hard to find, but you can find them on the what do you call it there? So that carburetor, what was that used on? That was used on the GTMX80. The RX50 used a different carburetor, but you can change that mount so it goes into a boot. You can change that. What else can you use? There's a few other ones. I'll have to get you that information, but there are a few other ones that use that carburetor. So, and if you had the carburetor, I have parts for the carburetor because I did mine. Um, I'll have to double check on that carburetor. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Just remind me tomorrow when I'm out and about because I get text messages like you read about, and I got a lot of people asking me questions about bikes all day long, sometimes into the wee hours of the night. So I answer a ton of questions because once again, this channel, I don't want to leave you guys high and dry. I don't want you guys not being able to fix your bikes because of a question. no matter how big or small. You know what I mean? So my goal is to get these bikes up and going. Second Bible, thank you. I appreciate that. I really enjoy doing the videos for you guys and giving you guys that information and sharing my knowledge. I tell you, Harvey Spoon is sending out a RM 250, and the bike is a basket case, motor's blown up, all kinds of stuff. And I think I'm gonna have to put this thing together and run it because it's a cool bike. And the bike is so junk, it's good, if that makes any sense. When you look at the bike, like every single thing on this bike has issues. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to teach you guys. And that's what we do on this channel. We teach, we learn, and I get to do this hangout thing with you guys on a Two-Stroke Tuesdays, which is super cool. And I enjoy doing it. And I know a lot of you guys watch my videos a lot, and I see it I see it. And if you guys have videos like ideas you want to share, please share them with the channel. These bikes are getting very valuable, and it turns out that I was the only one on YouTube doing KE 100s. There are a few other ones now, but these bikes are, they're still only about $900 to $1,200 bikes. Okay, so they're still a reasonably priced bike, but I do predict that they're going to be going up as they get older, a little bit older. You can go to a single cable if you want on the clutch. Yep. They that secondary cable on the clutch is for the kickstand to lift it. So when you get the bike up right, you pull the clutch in and it kicks the kickstand up for you, so you don't forget it and leave it down. Try taking off and catching something. It was one of those little add-on things. Um, Mine surprisingly still works, even though the little end is broken on it. It does work. The single clutch cable, if you got that cable from a 70s model KE 100, like if you went on there, it says 76 or 79, any of those bikes would have the single cable, so you can get it from one of those bikes, and it'll fit right on your bike the same way, same length. It just doesn't have that little box with the one cable going into the two. So yeah, those are pretty cool. The we have, oh geez, we got so much stuff. My part came back from the as you guys saw in the video for the KE 102 build, so we're gonna be back on that pretty soon. Can't wait to do that. Oh yeah, yeah, I can't wait to do that. I just have to have it welded. It's all machined, and I got to eat my cake and have my cake and eat it too. Um, when I Before I decided to go with the 10 speed, because Jen said, "Why don't you make a 10 speed?" I said, "You know what, Jen? You're right. I should do a 10 speed KE 100 because, well, that's pretty cool." So, I didn't do it for any other reason than just to have it, you know. And it's not even to make the bike faster; it makes it actually slower. And I'll explain to you what that is in a minute. But I wanted a 16 tooth front sprocket because I'm running a 50 in the back. Now, I went bigger on the front and bigger on the back, and it's going to give me more speed um, than the 15 because I'm running a 50, but it's still not going to have a bigger top end than the 42 tooth in the back. So I'm gaining, but I'm also losing. Now, the 10 speed bike, which you find on your Trail Boss 100s, your what do you call it, the KV 100s, or your Suzuki TC 100s, or 90s, all those bikes. That 10 speed was designed for farmers. So instead of riding cattle out there to go get the your cattle, riding a horse out there to get cattle, they took dirt bikes, and it allowed them to do it at night. So they had to go out and find out what's going on. A couple of things that the Kawasaki Trail 100 would do, or the KV, is it would allow you to have lights, and like coyotes and stuff like that would be scared of the noise of the dirt bikes, and they would take off. They knew you were coming, so they would scram. They didn't want any part of that, so they would leave and leave the animals alone, and then they could bring them back. You're welcome. Have a good night. Thank you for sharing. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to talk with people and do all this. So that's the history behind the Trail Boss 100 and the KV. When you click that thing into high, it's literally the same as a KE 100. It is no faster. When you put it into low, the RPMs are up and you're going much slower. This allows you to also climb. So if you were on a trail and you were hitting a hill, you could stop, shift it in a low, and then go through all your 5 gears, climb a wall with that thing. I mean, it's just crazy the torque that you'd have. You'd be like, wow. Kind of like on a pedal bike when you put it in the big gear in the back and then the little gear in the front, and you were pedaling really really fast, but you really weren't going anywhere. That's low gear. That would allow you to climb. When you have it in high gear, it's like having it on the big gear in the front and the small gear in the back, where you're pedaling. It's harder to pedal, but you are moving. So same concept. So yeah, get that, and yeah. So there's a lot that you can learn from the way they gear them, and you can implement these in different ways by changing your front sprockets and your rear sprockets, depending upon what you want the bike to do. If you want a faster bike, you want a bigger sprocket in the front and a smaller sprocket in the back, and that bike will be much faster. If you want the bike to be more torquey, take off faster, and have less wear on your clutch, put a big sprocket in the back and a small one, and a small one in the front, and you'll be able to have a bigger, more takeoff, faster takeoff, but you'll also gain climbing. But you lose on the top speed. So if you're doing 50, you could probably knock 5 miles an hour off. That'd be like 45 would be your top speed. So pretty cool. What else is there? Lighting. You guys saw those cool lights that I got, the Suzuki lights. I'm going to be using, probably going to end up putting those on the bike that's out back, whatchamacallit here, the DS100. They're nice, cool Suzuki lights. I'm going to use those mirrors on that bike and make that bike more streetable. I think that's going to be a really cool bike when it's all said and done. So, still waiting for a cable to come in for that, and then we can do a first start on it, because I don't want to start it without the oil and prime that one up. Been a very busy day. Picking up, getting things ready, moving around. The wind has been blowing everything all over the place. It's been crazy, been nuts. So, what else was there? Oh, that bike that Hobby Spooner is, what do you call it there? The bike that he's sending up for that his son's bike. We're going to be fixing that for him. That is a Yamaha Raz. It's a 50cc bike scooter, and it's a horizontal shaft. It's kind of like the what do you call it? The scooter that's out here now. It's got it's all one piece, the case, and then it drives it through a what do you call it there? Belt drive. Same thing, but it's got a 2-stroke on it. And instead of the GY6 motor that's on the scooter out here, where the piston goes horizontal, horizontal. The Raz is vertical, so it's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The bike is a pretty neat looking bike. It's small, so we're gonna meet somewhere on the Mass Pike and switch everything around. Yes, I actually built my chain. Hold on a second. Sorry. Yes, I do a lot with chainsaws. and two small two-strokes, which I'll be doing some videos on that. So my son Michael, the one who talked me into starting this channel, when he was a little guy, about 7, 8 years old, I worked for a small engine company called Martin's Agway up in Lancaster, New Hampshire, and I literally bought every single screw, every single individual part. So I found a saw that I wanted, which was a what do you call it there, Husqvarna 55 Rancher, and I wanted that saw. It was in 2000, and they stopped making it. I wanted a brand new. I was going to buy a brand new 20-inch bar, whole thing. Didn't get to do it. Couldn't buy it. Everybody was out of stock. Then, when you found a new one that someone was selling, it was about $400. I said, nope, not happening. I bought it piece by piece, and him and I built it as a model. I'll show you guys that in a video. Oh, neat lighting. The lighting on the Magneto, like I'm going to be doing on my what do you call it there? The KE 102 build. I'm going to be lighting up that cover. So because I'm using the high and low speed transmission, the Magneto cover will come off. That is, I'm going to get a clear one made for that plexiglass, and that'll be in there, and there'll be a green LED inside there, and every time the spark flashes, you'll be able to see it inside. It'll look pretty cool. Yeah, this one I literally built it piece by piece, and I'll show you on the handle. There's these two inserts, and I actually got some of those off the first Rancher that was available way back in the day when it wasn't even a 50. It was a Rancher 50 at the time, but it's the same machine. I took the Rancher handle off. I'll show it to you. Yeah, it will be pretty cool. I want to do something different with this bike. The KE 102 is bored out. It's ported. I have an expansion chamber that was made for the KE 100. Not one that I fabricated or anybody fabricated. It was from a company. I got a video on that. I got it from what do you call it there? GTZ Garages sent that up to me, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, the light. Yeah, those are pretty neat. Yeah, it's really cool. And if you look at my my video on my truck, you'll actually see I have a clear distributor cap on my V8, and you can see all the 8 spark plugs firing. It's pretty neat. I upgraded to a GM style ignition system on it, and got rid of all that stuff. And I put a clear cap on it. You can see the rotor inside there spinning. You can see the sparks. I know it really doesn't add to the bike, the truck, but it looks cool. So I went with it. Sorry, be yawning, guys. I've been up early. Very tired. A lot of work. Lots of work. Having something like that with the LEDs inside there, I think is really going to make it pop. And I'm going to do when I paint the engine, I'm going to be painting it with the cool at the edge of the fins are going to be the Kawasaki green. I had a Harley and sold it to my brother. It's just a bike that's not for me. I'm more of a Japanese guy than I am the American bikes. My brother's into all the Harley Davidsons. He's got a black bike that I used to own. What do you call it there? I sold that to him. I got the bike in trade, and I liked it, but what I wanted to do to it. So let me tell you a little bit about this. Bikes talk to me, okay? And what I mean by that is I see a bike and I see a style of a bike, and I just run with it. This Harley that I sold my brother literally stands out. I mean, this bike is flat black. It's beautiful, and it's a monster. But it wasn't my style bike. I was looking for a bagger with the, this one had the saddlebags, but I was looking for the whole dresser. this bike is not a dresser. It's just a really cool bike. Yeah, one of the old flathead bikes. Those are cool. Those are a bike I'd be into. I think I'd be into those because I love flatheads. In fact, I would love to get my hands on a flathead Ford, but yeah, no, I don't mess with the Harleys. I stay away from that. That's my brother's thing, and it's just not my style. I like I like the classic cruising style. That's why I got the Virago, and the Virago for me, I had to pick between the Harley or the Virago, and I kept my Virago. I'm like, I know that bike in and out. If anything goes with that bike, I can just go up back, grab a part, and put it onto it. Whereas a Harley, you know, oh yeah, you broke down, it's $200. Oh, nope, good, nope, not dealing with that. Not dealing with that at all. Yeah, the old shovel heads, the knuckleheads, those are cool bikes. Um, Mike's Garage on YouTube, he does some classic bikes. He does some good stuff. Oh, they're not that bright. They're it's faint. Yeah, it's not like a really bright, intense light. Um, you realistically, it's a showpiece when you're sitting there idling and people looking at the bike, and you'll see it, but it's not bright. You are correct though. If you have a blinking blue light or a red light, that right there will definitely could get you a ticket, and get you in trouble. But on a spark plug boot, it's so small that you'll be fine. You ain't gonna get anything with that. So it's a pretty neat little addition to the bike, and I wish I could get them in green. That would be really cool. If I get one in green, get one in yellow for my yellow bike. You see, I'm going with this the blue, but they only come in the red and the blue that I've seen. If I could find a green, or you guys know of a green one, please send me a link to that. That would be super cool. Um, some of the other things. Those lights that are the Suzuki lights I showed you, they had the red. And the Harley Davidsons also use red tail lights as well. So you can use them on the back, not the front. The front, if you put them in the front, I guess you get in trouble for those. I almost put blue Christmas lights in my grill on my blue truck, and my neighbor said to me, "Hey, you put those on there, you can get in trouble." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You can't do that because of the police. They'll think you're a police vehicle." So, Scott, you're absolutely correct on that. But once again, the plug boot, you won't notice that, especially where it's between your legs and the motor. You're not even gonna see that. So, yep, all good. But and I'm gonna put a switch so I can shut that magneto cover off when I recall it there. If I don't want it to be on, like if I'm as a distraction to people, So if I'm driving down the road and people all going crazy, shut it off. Little toggle switch, kill it. So, well, guys, I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna go get some supper and go get to bed. Um, Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate all your comments, all your questions. You guys have been great. And well, we'll be back tomorrow, turning wrenches and working on Harvey Spooner's bike, getting that thing all ready to go. Um, oh yeah, absolutely, Truman. Thank you. I enjoy talking with you guys. You guys are the best, and that's why you guys are on this channel. This channel is the best. You guys are here. That makes you guys the best. All right. So once again, guys, thank you for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you guys later. I'm out.